welcome to the Enterprise World magazine. Today's guest is a dynamic business leader and technology-driven entrepreneur who has been instrumental in building scalable solutions and guiding organizations through driving growth and operational excellence. With a strong focus on innovation, leadership, and long-term value creation, he has successfully positioned his company as a trusted partner for businesses navigating complex technical and strategic challenges. As the CEO of 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗰, Ilesh Kotecha has played a pivotal role in shaping the company's vision, strengthening client impact, and driving sustainable business outcomes. Please join me in welcoming one of the most influential business leaders to follow in 2026, Mr. Ilesh Kotecha. Ilesh, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's our honor. So let's begin with your journey. What really inspired you to step into entrepreneurship, and also how did the idea for 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 take shape?
Wow. Okay, that's it's quite a journey. Mom, you got to start with my background. What makes my background conducive to becoming what I call an edupreneur rather than entrepreneur. So an educational entrepreneur. I mean, the three pillars of my life is that education was engraved in me. When I was raised in Africa, was ingrained in me by my parents, who themselves didn't have the opportunity to study to a level that they probably would have wanted to. I come from a community of entrepreneurs where it was culturally everybody had their own businesses or were in finance. And my own passion was for mathematics, and subsequently mathematics evolved into technology and more recently into artificial intelligence. In terms of education, I've attended, since arriving in the UK as a refugee, I've attended multiple UK universities. I've completed master's programs in quantitative finance and software engineering. Also in terms of education, for decades, I've been an examiner for the London's examiner in finance at the London Chartered Institute for Securities Investments. I've lectured at university level in asset portfolio management and strategy and business entrepreneurship. That was at City University of London, at Cambridge University in the UK. I've come from, as I mentioned, an entrepreneurial community where it's both generational, a generation after generations are entrepreneurs, and all my siblings are also entrepreneurs. And the finance investing background, I spent more than a decade working in top tier investment banks in America, in Switzerland, in Middle East, and even with British banks. And the last position I held in investment banking, I used to be a global portfolio strategist, which involved extensive traveling, advising central banks and major corporations in their portfolio strategy. Now, all of this changed when I became a single parent. I moved from New York to London. And so just prior to 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, I attempted to set up a startup commodities hedge fund in London, which was called the Rocket Rhino Fund. And for one reason or another, that didn't quite work. And then that's when 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 was born. So 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 initially was a financial technology, or fintech as it's known, company. And what it did was it evolved software for creating trading decision support systems, which basically meant that people who you see on Wall Street who are making investment decisions, they have their own investment spreadsheets, etc. Spreadsheet is a simple example, but technical systems which would help them decide whether or not to make the trade or not. So it's basically what 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 was doing was the company I left in New York and that I came to when I came to London to look after my son. They continued to give me work out of New York, so I was effectively remote working all those years ago. For a trading room, creating trading decision support systems, which involved intensive data analytics. And this data analytics you'll see how useful it is. So fintech essentially combines multiple pillars of expertise that have been accumulated, which is basically you've got to have extensive financial knowledge. You've got to have computational ability, statistical ability, and software engineering ability. Now, all of these, people don't realize how close fintech is to educational technology. And I'll come to that as well, I expect in the process. But what this did was this laid the foundation for what followed. And when I became a single dad and I came back to London, I was preparing my son for a competitive entrance exam. And in the process, I created a practice portal for my son for his preparation. And this was online. It was discovered by tens of thousands of other parents, in fact. And and to me, it also, having been to business school, it showed me there was it identified unmet demand in the marketplace. So whilst fintech seems unrelated to edtech, but it becomes very relevant the minute you start treating every child's as an actual asset. So, for example, if you treat a child as a stock or a share, and you look at their performance or results in subjects and exams and questions, as you would as you'd analyze stocks with their different attributes, then all of a sudden there's so much in common between the way you'd analyze the two, that you get some actionable intelligence between the two. So in time, what's happened is that Technical One, which is an EdTech company, had to create a lot of software, but there's no way of testing the software on live children or real children. So what we did was we also created a tuition company simply to road test what we wanted to create. So what we're creating on the software side. So the 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃𝗵 tuition business was created, and it's since become an award-winning tuition center, which road tests products for Technical One, but in fact, in its own right, it's become one of the best in the country for what it does. Now, for those of you who don't know what 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃𝗵s is, it's basically an entrance exam for children to get into top selective British schools. So you may have heard of schools like Harrow School, Eton School. There are lots of top grammar schools in Britain, for example, Queen Elizabeth School for Boys in Barnet. Now, all these schools are what they're called super selective. Schools typically would have 40 applicants, 40 very qualified applicants per place at the age of 10. And so what we've done is we've positioned ourselves to take on the most difficult exam that a child will ever sit in Britain. And that's why it was important for us to be able to have a technical company whose products were road tested as they were being developed with real children, and the result has been an outstanding product.
That's very pioneering. So as the CEO, you've led Technical One through growth, change, and evolving market demands. So what were some of the key moments or decisions that's really significantly shaped the company's direction?
Okay, well, to Technical One risks being just another edtech startup. That was that was the risk. So it was a crucial. What's crucial to understand is that for a parent, the child is the greatest asset a parent has. It's not their house, it's not their car, it's not their spouse. The greatest asset a parent will have is their child, and a parent will do anything they want for their child. Now, what we're finding is a parent is trusting our systems and trusting our tuition service with the greatest asset they have. So we have to obviously, treat that with the good gravity it deserves. So to differentiate ourselves, we positioned ourselves, what we've done is to differentiate our company. What we've done is to position on an unnavigable UK education sector, which is fiercely competitive. Now, what makes these particular exams even more difficult is that there is no syllabus. And so you're preparing for a exam where there's no syllabus. Every school has a slightly different exams format or subjects or syllabus. And then the competition is, as I mentioned just now, could be as high as 40 applicants per place. And so to go for such a fierce exam means two things. Firstly, there'll be fewer experts in the field, which makes our company more viable. And secondly, those experts who will be there will be weaker competitors because they won't have the expertise that we have. The second thing that we've done to make ourselves significant in the marketplace is that we've taken a Swiss Army knife approach. If you know what a Swiss Army knife is, it's a fold-up knife where it's got many blades. One blade might be a knife, the next blade might be a screwdriver, the next blade might be a corkscrew and bottle opener, whatever. It's all in one device. So what we've done is we've taken a Swiss Army knife approach. Our company is basically and it's a self-contained ecosystem for this very, very tricky exam. So, for example, we have our own proprietary, which is unique analytics, where we're treating every child as a financial asset and looking at the attributes. And we try and determine something called actionable intelligence from the data. We create our own virtual learning environment. We create our own mock exams online and in person. We have an extensive 1,700 videos of library. We have 75 textbooks that we've written. We've got several 100,000 question banks as well. And all of these, as I mentioned, have been road tested and perfected by the in-house tuition company with over 1,000 students that attend there. So every single product that the Technical One company produces has at least been tested by over 1,000 students already. And we know that it's the best in class. So, and then on top of all of that is also supported by a parent community with an active forum with over 800,000 discussions going on, with about 50,000 members of parents who are in active discussion on the online forum that we've created as well.
That's incredible. So every leader faces challenges while scaling a business. So what have been some of the biggest challenges in your journey, and also how did you navigate through them while keeping the company aligned with its long-term vision?
Okay, the long-term vision is that, as I said, we are actually quite thrilled that parents are trusting us with the biggest asset that they have, which is their child, and we have the privilege of changing the trajectory of the children's lives. And so the biggest challenges we've faced is, for example, in 2020 during COVID. Our business, our tuition business was predicated on, for example, in-person and face-to-face tuition with over 500 students. We had a lockdown in London. The lockdown meant that everything stopped. 25% of the physical customers requested refunds. Thousands of mock exams face-to-face mock exam bookings had vanished or cancelled. And so tuition had to move very quickly online. So in other words, we had to change the product base that we were creating on Technical One. And so what we did was we did round-the-clock development. The development took place in 3 continents. We had programmers in India, we had programmers in Vietnam, we had programmers in the United States. We had 2 project managers in London working 12-hour shifts, so 24 hours a day. And what we did was effectively, we did roughly about 2 years of development in 3 months. And so in 3 months of COVID, we've literally done about from my software experience, about 2 years of development, what would have otherwise taken 2 years development. So what we did was we pivoted to online offering for the students that were remaining, resulting in a virtual learning environment, online mock exam system, and the best results for the most competitive schools. And in fact, we got award-winning. We've been award-winning ever since, but because in our locality, there's a school called Queen Elizabeth School for Boys in Barnet, which has actually got a global reputation. And the reason why that school is really sought after is because that school, for example, last year, 1/2 of the students ended up in 2 of the top universities in the world. There was Cambridge and Oxford. And so as a result of that, that school has been in massive demand. That 10-year-old children go there, 11-year-old children go there. By the time they're 18, the 2 of the top universities in the world want half their students. So and 1/3 of the students who go to that particular school, for example, come from our center. So which means that what we're doing is actually world class. And so having been in a situation where we had a challenging situation, the gamble paid off. Almost straight away, we now get over 4,000 applicants for our courses, whereas in fact, we're capped at 1,000 places. The gamble paid off also with tens of thousands of online exams, as sold in the summer. And so that lifeline that we created became a breakthrough. So the online system is now a foundation of the tuition business, whereas before the tuition business was self-founded, and the ability to deliver our program internationally. So we have clients all over the world that are now using our services.
That's incredible. So this brings us to the end of the first segment. So we'll quickly move on to the second segment, which will be a rapid fire round, sir. only quick and spontaneous answers here. So let's start. One word that really defines you as a business leader.
Focus, I should say.
A daily habit that helps you stay focused and effective.
Grounded. I have self-belief. So yeah.
That's great. So what is one misconception about running a technology-driven business that everybody has?
Well, people don't realize that IT, information technology, is relentless, and you do not stay ahead by standing still. So you've got to constantly be evolving and moving with the time. And one example of that would be that I have, even though I've done degrees in computing science and software engineering, even this last year in 2025, I was even studying further courses in AI.
That's superb. A book, mentor, or quote that has really influenced your leadership style?
Well, a quote I'd say is that the best leaders create a culture where people feel safe to speak, challenged to grow, and trusted to act.
That's a fantastic one. What really motivates you? Is it the growth or the impact?
I would say impact, because we're a business where we're changing the trajectory of children's lives and futures. So the impact of what we do is what motivates us.
That's nice. So if not entrepreneurship, which career path you had chosen?
Oh, wow. Okay. I think I would, if I wasn't doing this, I would probably be working at a university, doing some research and lecturing on artificial intelligence.
That's apt. What is your leadership mantra in one sentence?
I'd say lead with clarity, listen with humility, and act with courage.
That's amazing. So this brings us to the end of segment 2, and that was a really great one. So let's move on to the segment 3, which will be about leadership in a minute. So in a minute, what message would you like to share with aspiring entrepreneurs or emerging leaders who really want to build an impactful and meaningful business, but are very uncertain, like where do you begin? How do they take the first step?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you've got to do something you're passionate about. But when I went to business school, I learned, although I spent a whole year there, I came up with my own little mantra. And basically the mantra was, once you've chosen the business, the market you're doing, rule number 1 is never turn away a paying customer. And rule number 2 is don't forget rule number 1. Now, if you get a paying customer that you turn away, then they're going to go to a competitor. When they go to a competitor, they're going to empower your competitor or make your competitor more competitive because they'll have more financial backbone. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you never turn away a paying customer. And as long as you don't forget rule number 1, then your business will always grow. And the other thing I'd say is just make sure you guard your reputation fiercely. And so I've always aimed to go the extra mile. When you go the extra mile, like I showed you, that we've picked an education sector in the UK that very few people have expertise in. And so if you go the extra mile, meaning like we've done the Swiss Army knife approach, few people go the extra mile, which means that there is less competition when you actually do that. So in general, be passionate and have integrity. Reputation is what builds sustainable long-term businesses, and passion will inspire effort naturally and motivate your team as well.
I think those are some really words of wisdom right there. Great advice, sir. So this brings us to the last segment. As we look, towards in 2026 and beyond, what major trends do you think will shape the business leadership, technology adoption, and organizational growth?
Well, I think it's actually impossible to tell that, because AI is having a massive impact on every aspect of business. So it's not, if I told you whatever I think at the moment, it'll probably be out of date very shortly. I can tell you something else though, that recently, as a result of this paradigm shift of because of artificial intelligence, recently I was at a alumni meeting at Cambridge University where one of the professors basically said to us that, look, if you're not elbow deep in AI in the next 18 months, you will not be in business. So basically, everybody has to embrace AI and everybody has to move forward with it. And there are so many innovations in AI all the time. It's difficult to see what the shape of business leadership would look like in the future, and etc. Which is what the question you asked me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think AI is the need of the hour, right, sir? So how will a Technical One continue to innovate, adapt, and create value in this rapidly evolving business landscape?
Okay, in our business landscape, which is education, our focus is AI-powered, it's called PLJs, personalized learning journeys. And so we need to go beyond what normal learning systems do, or which basically online quizzes, adaptive quizzes, content recommendation, etc. And what we're trying to do is create learning environments that respond to every student like a teacher would. And flag strengths and weaknesses as well. So provide support where it's needed, and challenges when the students are ready to take them on. So what we've done, for example, in Technical One, machine learning, we've used machine learning to create intelligent feedback systems. We explain where the children's mistakes are happening, rather than just flagging them. What this does is frees up the teacher teaching time from repetitive marking and data entry to what matters, which is personalized instructions and building relationships with their students. So so ultimately, I suppose what Technical One's going to do is develop AI co-pilots for learners, with students to set goals, to track progress, reflect on learning habits, and build self-regulation, and for schools, real-time insights into students' well-being, learning momentum, facilitate early intervention, and make be more proactive and less reactive. So we want education to adapt to the learner rather than the learners adapting to the system. And AI will empower the educators to do just that. And the idea is to empower the educators and not to replace the educators.
That's unique, and that's a really fantastic answer as well. So this brings us to the end of the interview, but before we say goodbye, I just want to give you a small vote of thanks. So Ilesh, thank you so much for sharing with us your journey, your leadership insights, and the vision for the future. So your story really highlights how thoughtful leadership, adaptability, and a commitment to value creation can drive a lasting business success. For all of our viewers here on the Enterprise World magazine, we will be back with such powerful conversations, spotlighting leaders who are shaping industries and inspiring change right here on the Enterprise World magazine podcast. Thank you so much, Ilesh. It was really lovely meeting and talking with you, and I wish you all the best for your company ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Lovely to talk to you as well.
Yes, thank you so much, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Bye, take care.
What I was going to show was that in business, there's something called the fist principle. What the fist principle is, like, that's a fist. Like when you hit someone, that's a fist. Years ago, when I was doing martial arts, martial arts is like kung fu and taekwondo and that sort of thing. When I was doing martial arts years ago, my master challenged me to break a piece of wood, and then break a slate, and then break a brick. And then he told me what I learned, and I said, well, I learned that it's very hard to break these things. He said, no. What have you learned is that in your hand, you have 5 fingers. Some of them have got 2 joints, some of them are fat, some of them are thin, some of them are small, some of them are large. And you can apply this to business as well, where a business will have an IT person, a catering person, a marketing person, etc., etc. They may all not look uniform. They may not all have got the same level of university or education. But when you put them together, you can break through any target that you want.
That's a great one. Okay, thank you so much, and have a great, lovely day ahead, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.